Hello and welcome, my friends. I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that you find a lot to appreciate in your life. Not just be grateful for, but appreciate, truly and deeply for everything in life that happens. And this video I've entitled "Be Prepared to Stop," and it's because it was kind of inspired by a non-duality video I saw by Amoda Ma, who happened to be at the time talking about stopping certain things. And I happened to be driving when I heard this, when I was listening to this video, and just as I pulled up to a stop sign, I looked to the right, and there was one of those big orange state signs that said, "Be prepared to stop." And so I made this list after I'd listened to this video of things that really we need to be prepared to stop. And it turns out that it's kind of a never-ending list because we have lived so long doing all these things and thinking these ways that we've been conditioned to think and do and believe. And so when you start at the top and you say, well, my beliefs, are kind of holding me together, well, that's something that you might want to stop. And why? Because once you decide that you believe something, you're closed off to any other ideas. Okay? So in some ways, believing anything is really to your detriment. Now, does that mean you're going to be foolhardy and I no longer believe that if I walk in front of a car, I'm going to get hit? No, you have been conditioned to understand what's safe, what's not safe, what to do, what not to do. I'm talking about more your belief systems. In other words, so you come across something that maybe an individual or even an individual situation, and you already predetermine what you think about it because you haven't let it unfold because your belief system have determined this for you. I know for me, when I was younger, it was about a certain breed of dog that I saw bite somebody once, and so for many, many years I thought, well, that breed of dog or they just bite people, and it's a belief system that isn't true. There's my dog in the background. It's actually a cat, and I don't know why he's going in the fireplace, but apparently that's really none of my business. Anyway, my point is that, so belief systems, that's a big one. Judgments. Stop making judgments. The more you judge others, the more you need to look at why you're judging yourself, because that's really where it comes from. Some of the stuff we hate most about other people is stuff that we hate most about ourselves. Now, we don't consciously think of it that way. Maybe it's something that you feel like you've overcome, but somebody does something and it triggers something, reminds you that you did that or that you have a tendency toward that, so you're mad at them. Well, you're not really mad at them for doing it. You're more mad at them for bringing it up and reminding you that you still have some of that in you and you don't like it. Well, that, everybody has the good and the bad within them. It is two sides of the same coin. And don't think because I'm doing spiritual work or because I'm more generous than the next guy that it makes any damn difference. It really doesn't. We all have the good, we all have the bad, we all make great decisions, we all make horrible decisions, and we all move on. So that part of yourself that you don't like, that triggers you, you really need to embrace. You really need to look at and say, I understand that this has been part of me. And I also understand that I don't particularly care for it, but I am a human being, and I'm going to work with what I have. I think another thing that you have to consider stopping is the constant seeking energy that many of us get sort of addicted to in our spiritual pursuits. I let go of any organized or planned religion a long, long time ago, but I've always been a seeker. I've always wanted to find out what's the story with these dimensions and how do you ascend? My whole site was called Path of Ascension. Well, I don't really believe that there's really a physical ascension going on there. But I guess I have always recognized that there was something deeper and something that was moving through me That is not me. That is not what I've typically considered to be me. I mean, my body, my personality, my mannerisms, all that stuff is so very surface level. But I've always intuitively been aware that that is not me. That is the functioning human being on the earth. But there's something much deeper that actually drives me, that is unaffected by anything and open to everything. So here's another stop. Stop refusing things as they come along. As we live our lives, things come that we deem pleasant or unpleasant. And we gravitate toward the pleasant and we resist the unpleasant. Which is kind of funny, because if you think back in your life and you think about some of the biggest, moments of growth, they had to do with some very unpleasant things. Maybe the death of a loved one, or some suffering that you experienced, physically, or it almost doesn't matter. But some of the most unpleasant things, we recognize that we came through and we grew just a little bit, and sometimes a lot. And then, of course, that growth you are now imparting to everybody that you come in contact with, even if it's not a conscious thing. It's subconscious because it's now part of you. So the areas that you resist are really the only areas that are holding you up. So if we're open to everything, and we always have sort of a wide open heart to taking things in and accepting everything and embracing everything and understanding everything, then we are moving deeper and deeper to that place that is not bobbing around on the surface dealing with the circumstances of life, but more that deep part of you that is really the motivation and the driving force of you in this lifetime. So I've put a lot of edit. This video went on a long time. I've just edited the crap out of it because, I have a tendency to go off on a tangent, and I wanted to keep a focus on this video. But I guess, what I'd like to leave you with is that I think, if your idea is living as a fully realized human being and a fully realized person, and living your life from that place that that depth, that place of depth, and not this sort of surface personality, then one last thing you need to probably stop, and that is thinking that you're going to get that sometime in the future, that hoping that you're going to come across this, or you're going to see a video that's going to just zap you into that place. It's not going to happen that way, and the only reason I say this is because it really hasn't happened that way for anybody. It wasn't until they decided to drop the search, and here again, be prepared to stop, looking for ways to do it yourself. You don't really have any control over that. All you can do is be mindful and be aware of the moments that are coming, and be especially aware of the moments that you resist, and the feelings and the emotions that you feel that you resist and you move away from, and you do things to not have to deal with them. Be very aware of those things, because until you're able to embrace those things, it won't really matter how many meditations you did today. You really need to accept everything. And once you're able to do that fully, a lot of people experience quite an energetic shift at that point, where they recognize that this thing that they thought was themselves, this me, this I, this small sort of bobbing on the surface person, never really actually existed. And so when you fully realize that, then you are, of course, more apt to be focused on some other things and driven by another type of energy that is all-encompassing, all-accepting, and in truth, just unconditional love.